What's up? Come on out. Come on out. It's been a while. It's been a while. All right. Paint on the shirt. Outside, you don't, the mic's falling apart. I'm not even picking it up. Oh, I'm going to pick it up, but I'm not putting it back on. I'm sitting here struggling to try to get it click on. And look at that. This is how you know this is one take stuff. All right, guys? This is how you know. This is how you know. I'm not editing. I'm not scripted. I can't be. I don't know what my brain would even try to do with all of that. All right, here we go. Let's go. For thousands of years, people have been philosophizing. Okay, people have been trying to find out some kind of higher minded science and to utilize that to then incorporate it into society to bring about the principles and the morals and the ethics that we hold near and dear to us in modern society so that we have, pretty balanced lives. There's not crazy people. I mean, there's crazy people running around, but, we put them in a cage. They start doing bad things. It just makes sense that way. So where does those things come from? The minds of the philosophers, the minds of these spiritual people, kind of the connection of these two things, where they intersect and how they intersect, and then how they can be brought into the modern world. So we have philosophy, we have the mental science, the psychology, we have the spiritual science, those kinds of things. It's been going on for thousands of years. All right, we're just kind of laying the groundwork today, guys. I got something to talk about, and I'm gonna lay in the groundwork first. All right, so stay with me. Be patient with me, please. Okay. So that's been going on. At the same time as that's been going on over there, over here, we've had things like the gladiators. We've had war. We've had even more modern. We could go into like competitive aspects, and we could say we've had Olympics and we've had sport. See how real this is? You see how real my AI feels, guys? It almost is like there's a group of people with like horses being led through the woods. I don't know if you can see them. You might be able to hear them. But that's how real this is. This is like I didn't even know that was built into the software. So we're learning today. Okay. We got over here, we've got philosophy and all that good stuff. And then over here we've got the physicality that has brought people to find common ground, has brought people to find peace and kind of the ability to overcome an evil, a dictator, some kind of evil roaming, Genghis Khan type moving in. You're gonna have to fight them off. Now, I'm gonna premise this video by saying, or now 3 minutes in, I'm gonna start this by saying, I love that women are a part of the yoga practice. I adore the women that are a part of the yoga practice, and there have been yoginis that have catapulted yoga forward since those thousands of years ago. Okay, so we're not going to this like, oh my God, how misogynistic is this guy? And we're not doing that. If you want to, keep it. But I'm talking to the guy. I'm talking about the guys today. All right, I'm talking the real men do yoga stuff. All right, so we're just kind of clearing the slate, starting with these two things. We've got philosophers and we've got fighters. Now, one really cool thing happens historically is that those fighters actually become the best philosophers. They're the ones that want to know why are we fighting? Why can't we find common ground? Why do we find division? Why do we find opposition, conflict? Why is this something that's inherently built into the human nature so that we feel like we have to, claim something? This is my area, this is yours, or I'm the boss and you listen to me. That guy's the king and we're all just the underlings. They have to contemplate these parts of structure, the parts of structure of society that have been there, and they have been tools of as soldiers. So someone like Socrates, he came out of the soldier mentality right into the philosopher mentality, and you all know probably the name of Socrates because of that, right? What was my point? No, I know. I'm just yes. Okay. So these things, how they were originally kind of created, they were both able to be blended into society, right? Now we have competition. We have healthy and safe and structured competition. So it's not gladiators we're looking at anymore where one person meets their demise. We're looking at UFC fighters. We're looking at NFL players, football players, right? Modern football players where they are tackling, they're aggressive. They are who's stronger than the other, and the better and the stronger and the faster and the more athletic and the smarter team, they're the ones that win. We see this whether it's even in UFC. It's not necessarily the stronger guy that wins. It's the smarter, it's the more agile, the more durable, the more resilient person that is going to be coming out on top. So now we're incorporating these themes of philosophy within the physicality, and we know that they go hand in hand. They go perfectly hand in hand. What happens at the end of an MMA fight? Do they just keep fighting until one of them dies? The person has their hand raised and the other person gets very upset. I wanted to be the winner. And they attack the guy, or better yet, they attack the ref, or they attack the 3 judges that watch the UFC or the boxing or whatever it might have been. No, they look over, shake their hand. Good job. You bested me today. Wow. How we've come so far from, the beheading of the person that lost to now the shaking of the hand. They even get a paycheck. Even if they lost, they get a paycheck. How cool is that? So imagine if we had something. Imagine if we had a practice where we could be moving towards those higher-minded philosophical themes and be challenged physically, but we don't have to fight. We don't have to fight someone. We don't have to compete with someone else. We have some internalized individual practice that can be used for that very purpose, so that a challenge can be offered and overcome. A doubt can be approached and squelched and completely just destroyed. And that doubt, once clarified, leaves, right? Clarity. It brings more information. It brings more knowledge. It brings more introspection and another step of awareness. So then we have another challenge and another challenge and another challenge. We don't run from them. And on some days we might win. On some days we might lose. If we're the quote unquote loser, right? We didn't excel the way we might have wanted to. And I'm not just talking about in yoga now. I'm just talking about in any kind of physicality. Say you go for a run and you're trying to hit a certain time for every mile. You don't hit that. What do? Do you just destroy your mentality and kind of bleep talk yourself all day for the rest of the day? Or do you think of it as an opportunity to say, okay, I did the best I could. I'm going to shake my hand internally. I'm going to get over that quote unquote loss. And I'm going to move forward seeking that excellence. What could I do? Let me use my intelligence. Let me use my resilience. Let me be able to speak to myself in a way that will excel my mentality, so that if and when this possibility happens again, then I will be ready in the moment. Not in a month, not in a week, not in a day, but in the moment, I'm ready to say, oh, that's the obstacle. I can overcome that. And I can overcome it. Not to say emotions are bad, but I can overcome it emotionless. Okay, again, the fighter's shaking hands. If he's still stuck in his emotions, he is attacking the guy. We've seen that. You've seen that at the end of fights. Someone will get, say, tapped out, submitted, and they stand up and they want to go right back into fighting, even though they just lost fair and square. So if that's the person's emotions running the show, sometimes we need to be beings of logic. We need to be creatures of logic. And when we're practicing some kind of internalized regimen, internalized contemplations, and something that we know isn't being kind of forced to us from an external source or kind of challenged from an external source, then we can be we can be aware of our logical self much more. Our emotional self is going to have to take the back seat and not be down on yourself for not hitting the 8 minutes per mile. You're not going to be down on yourself for not hitting the perfect squat. You didn't hit your depth, but you hit the weight, but you didn't hit your depth when you went back and looked at the footage. So you're just down on yourself and you're angry and you're, no, you got to say, I did the best I could. And the people that are out there that know, you know this stuff, athletes, weightlifters, people that are, they've traveled, they've seen conflict, they've seen, when people have real strife in their life, they will know that that's not something that they would be dragged down by, the depth of their squat or the not hitting of the 8 minutes. They have much higher minded things that they could be contemplating. And because of that, it brings about that calm and logical approach to their physical regimen. So let's talk about yoga. What is this? We're 10 minutes in. We're 10 minutes in. Yes, let's talk about yoga now. You got the opportunity to have over 1,000 different postures challenge you. On any given day, it could be a different posture that could challenge you. When we see the people that are not approaching the practice, it's not because of that contemplation of overcoming a mental strife, a mental suffering, a hindrance of their mind to hold them back from their excellence. No, we see that they don't come to the practice, they don't approach the practice because they're not flexible. They're not flexible? They're not flexible? Huh? Listen, mentally flexible is one thing. All right, that's a whole nother thing. To be mentally pliable, to be mentally resilient. And that's what we're talking about. That's what's gained from the practice. It's not the stretchy hamstrings. Who cares? I wonder if Socrates could do a split. I wonder if Mahatma Gandhi could do a handstand. He probably could. I wonder if these great minds throughout history ever did anything acrobatic. But I can almost guarantee you this. They definitely did something physically challenging. They definitely had some kind of physical challenge or physical regimen that was out in front of them. And historically, I mean, we don't have they didn't have YouFit, they didn't have Planet Fitness, they didn't have all those. So they had to make their own ways to stay active. Do you think that they were caring? People were struggling to find food or they were fighting for their lives next to neighboring countries? I don't think so. I don't think they were checking their six-pack in the mirror. I don't think that they were overly concerned with that. But they had the strife built into their life to overcome. Hence the philosophical minds being born during that time, and why we see the philosophical mind very much so dwindling right now, because there is so much comfort. There is so much complacency. There is so much more of a feed me what I'm supposed to think because I don't want to think for myself. Tell me what I'm supposed to do because I don't know what I'm supposed to do on my own. And if everybody says it's stretching, then everybody must be right. Not the crazy guy that shows up on my YouTube feed every once in a while, not the countless yogis throughout history or great minds that have agreed with yogic tradition, Vedic teachings, even people that have never heard of yoga and they end up aligning their teachings perfectly with the practice. What? They didn't stretch? They didn't do a single sun salutation? These are the things that we need to be asking. These are the questions that we need to be asking. Unity. Yoga is unity. So you may have heard the saying, united we stand, divided we fall. United we stand, divided we fall. If we can unite over these things over here, the philosophical principles that tied together the modern society that we have and make it balanced. If that's the thing that we can't overcome, we might wonder why. We might ask why. Is there anyone that could benefit from people being divided? No. If you may have heard something about how you should hate another side and they're wrong and you're right, that couldn't benefit anyone. No, right? No, there hasn't been wars fought. There's no goods to be sold. There's no subscription to make sure you're signed in for, or newsletter that you need to have because you got to stay up to date with what you're being told you should think. No. Or maybe. Yes, there's absolutely people that could benefit from that. So if we don't have our own way to overcome our own internal dialogue and say, I can't do this, and then I do it. Oof, wow. Even my own mind can lead me down a thought that isn't true necessarily. I can overcome that. So what am I then? If I'm not the mind thinking that I can't do this, and I'm not the body perceiving that mind's connection of I can't do that, and then I won't even attempt to do it, then who am I? Where's my standpoint of identity? And then you go down the philosophical rabbit hole and you've got a whole lifetime's worth of stuff to study, a whole lifetime's worth of stuff to be taught. I am so glad the sun's not out right now because it's very humid and it's just like dank. And look, guys, I sweat. I just sweat. I sweat. Don't leave anything in the comments saying something like, "Oh my God, Dom, you're so sweaty and there's paint on your shirt. But still, we loved the episode. Thank you for uploading this." You know, if you feel that way though, boom, put it in the comments right now. Go put it in the comments. But yeah, you can immediately recognize when people have a lot of complacency and a lot of comfort in their lives so that they do want to be spoon-fed what to think. Who should they be agreeing with? Who should they be disagreeing with? Who should they be at odds with? Who should they be sitting at the table with? This isn't going to come from our own work. This isn't going to come from stillness and silence or experiencing nature. This is going to come from being spoon-fed what to think. Here you go. There you go. Because I'll tell you this, when we do utilize the practice, when we do utilize nature, when we use stillness and silence, and we use ancient teachings, and we contemplate these things for ourselves, we become united. There won't be you're supposed to disagree with that person, you're supposed to fight with that person. There isn't that. That's surface level stuff. That's so superficial. It's obvious when you know the depth hasn't been sought. There's a saying, something like, simple minds talk about people. More advanced minds speak about events. And the most advanced minds speak about ideas, philosophy, theory, technical terms throughout history that could be used for our own benefit in the modern times. It's not dead language. It's not dead texts. They are very much alive. They are very much in the opportunity for utility if we seek them out. Real men do yoga? Yeah. Real men have done yoga since beginningless time. For the duration of our recorded history, it's been, well, like I said before, it's been both genders. There's been women that have done it too. But I truly believe that it comes from the same standpoint, seeking unity and avoiding division, seeking commonalities, seeking common ground, seeking principle and morals and ethics that bring us to be united. That is yoga. That is yoga. If I took a cup of water, analogy, and then we'll wrap this up. If I took a cup of water and I gave it to 100 different men, and all of them had a different color, there's 100 colors, deal with it, okay? Deal with it. And they all have a food coloring, and they drop the color in the water. When I go down the list, when I go down the line and I see all these different colors of water, do I think that they're different? Or can I see through the guise of the color of the water and know that it's still water? Well, with whatever the friggin' color, red 102 or whatever, right? Green 409, who knows? But I know it's water. I'm not tricked. The red one isn't blood. The green one isn't wheatgrass juice. Do we still do that? Are people still juicing wheatgrass? Was it wheatgrass to begin with? It was like spirulina. You guys still juicing spirulina? Anyway, I know that it's not that. I know it's water with a drop. Okay? In the same way, when we interact with other beings, it's just water with a drop, man. It's just water with a drop. I don't want to go too much into like the actual teachings today. This was more of just a rant and rave about the Real Men Do Yoga, because I promised you guys in episode 2, and I will be bringing more of this stuff in dribs and drabs. I kind of want to get back to some of the teaching stuff, but this was more of just like how can I explain the physicality and the philosophical being melded? They're not oppositional. They're not different. There is a purpose to being on the mat. And is that something that I highlight and share all the time? No, because everybody's getting on the mat right now. That's the main focus of everybody, thinking that yoga is on the mat. Can it be? Or better yet, should it be avoided because it is on the mat? No. A physical regimen that could allow you introspective and philosophical thoughts, the ability to overcome your own perceived egoistic perception, and to find less division, more unity, more principle, and less just emotional attachment to what you were foon sped. Yeah, foon sped. Yes, foon sped. I think that that's something that a lot of guys would be approaching if it was explained to them that way. If it wasn't spandex pants and glowing, vibrant colors and half naked, sweaty women, laser shows, and Drake playing over the speaker. I tried to take a class the other day and I was told to take a dance break. There was a dance break in the middle of the class. Huh? I think they played Avril Lavigne. I sat through it, guys. I made it through. Obviously, I'm standing here before you, but yeah, philosophical meets the physical. Purna Yogashala, that's the whole theme. That's why I started this. Real Men Do Yoga. I wouldn't be here before you if it wasn't for this. So I am going to, for the rest of my life, share the teachings as purely and cleanly, as technically and as scientifically as I can. And at the same time, talk about how it's not something that should be avoided by men, because it's not. And it never has been. And it never should be. But the men that are believing, I mean, listen, there's parts of this world, there's parts of this country even that the men know. When I taught down in South Florida, I'd have UFC fighters and professional athletes in my classes. So there are people and places that it's much more approachable for the men. There's more male teachers, but in the parts of the world and of this country that it's being sold as physicality and stretching and gymnastics, it's not going to be approached as much. That's where I'm going to step in. And that's where other guys should step in. And that's where other female teachers should step into. There you go. Love you guys so much. Peace, peace. Hope you enjoyed the horses walking around in the back. Peace.